Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone.
Am I echoing to you too? Okay, is that better? You can hear me though still? Okay, awesome. Maybe it was just too loud. So welcome everyone. I'm Sandy Abrams-Tabola, one of the HEAT NMDs, and it was my pleasure to be the host of tonight's call anyway, but if you see the little Nikki Cotton in my box, it's because Nikki Cotton had a huge event tonight, and so I am going to be actually hosting the whole night and recording, and so you'll have this recording for you in the next day or so. So anyway, so glad to have you, and I am just honored to be one of the HEAT NMDs. I will just tell a little bit about myself for those of you who are on and who don't know me, and then we'll get right into our amazing guests. So I was a youth pastor and a stay-at-home mom, trying to be a stay-at-home mom with also doing that, and I loved it. I never made more than $800 a month. But I wasn't looking, I was married, and so I wasn't looking for income, but I was looking for a solution for our health. My kids were sick. I had a son with an ear infection for a solid year. I had really low energy and just didn't feel good. Felt 35 and frumpy. And so when my friend Lenora introduced me to Juice Plus, it just made sense to me because it actually was the fruits and veggies that we were trying to eat but couldn't seem to eat enough of. And we had such great results. My energy went through the roof. We were all craving more fruits and veggies, and my son wasn't sick anymore, that I was telling everyone about it. And kind of a reluctant team member in that I didn't want to do one of those, but I also knew that I had 5 of us on Juice Plus. It'd be nice to be able to pay for our Juice Plus. So that was my big why in the beginning. And then just building a team and seeing others be able to stay home with their kids. In 4 years later, I was a QNMD and my husband left and I was a single mom. And to be able to continue raising my kids and then continue on to NMD and get that package, the benefit package that gave this single mom a whole sense of security, and I was able to send my son to college. So I love this business, and the biggest highlight for me though, the surprise in all this has been the relationships, and has been to be able to build relationships, lock arms with all of you, and make a difference in our world. And so one of those relationships that I struck up at conference our last conference was with Amber Weaver, and I just thought she was amazing. She was a brand new NMD and had already hit 24 Club. We met at the Elton's dinner, and our husbands actually hit it off. They both are trying to find their way in the business, and so it was just great to hear how she focuses on the business in the midst of everything else she has going on, and that's kind of what she's going to talk on tonight, the power of focus. So Amber, thank you so much for giving us your time and for being here.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. It's so fun, and just to see all of you pop on here, and I see Michelle and just different people that I recognize from Facebook, but you are so right, Sandy, the relationships that this community brings us, it's just something that we don't find just everywhere. So I want to share a little bit though about my story, as I'm just going to weave it in as I talk about the power of focus. And I want to encourage you to really just, as you're listening, to just think about maybe if there's something that it kind of just, like it pulls at a heartstring, or you sort of get like that little check in your spirit, but that to just explore that later on, but to really try to be present tonight in what you're doing, because I'm going to share things that I learned from other people and just how I apply things in my daily life, in my business, and there may be something you can just take away and immediately start applying. Okay, so are we good? Can y'all hear me okay? Okay. To give you a little bit of background,
Amber, I just want to say, if you can mute yourself, That would be really helpful. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I have a background in business. I have a business degree with a major in human resource management. And so after college, I went into human resources. That's what we did. I actually was specifically in performance management. And so I've been able to see kind of the back end of the corporate America life. I worked for some great companies, but I can remember, knowing you've got to negotiate that entry-level salary because we get percentage increases. So it makes sense that if I can negotiate a better salary up front, I'm in a better position. And I've seen the ins and outs of that. I've seen what happens, with experience versus, gender versus all of these things that are kind of just hot topics that we talk about. Is there a glass ceiling? All of those issues. But so I did that for a while and I loved it. But then I moved, and where we moved, we live in a really small town, kind of just East Texas, if you can't hear the accent. Okay, so we'll get that out of the way. So we moved, and I was married. I met my husband. Got to just stay at home at first, and wasn't wanting to stay at home. So I was still on call with the company that I did HR for, and would travel into the city on occasion. But I just kind of, was there. And that is not my nature. I'm a doer. I want to do things. And so I get a phone call one day from a local high school, and they just said, "Hey, we heard that you have a business degree." And there had been an issue with one of their teachers. They had a need for a business and marketing teacher. So here I have left corporate America, you guys, where I can be in a boardroom and speak freely, and I'm going into this place where there are, like 17-year-olds, and I'm terrified. But I loved it. I ended up, after I kind of got used to it, I loved it. I did it for 5 years. And I can remember, though, always just still having that entrepreneurial spirit. And you guys know teachers don't make anything. So I had left this amazing career, and now all of a sudden here I'm teaching and I'm fulfilled, but it's not paying me anything. So I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I decided that we would buy a fitness franchise. I had gone to this amazing boot camp. I loved the program. The way that my mind. You're good? Okay. So the way that my mind kind of works is just starting to figure out the business of things. And I knew that this company could really take off. It was still fairly new. And so I was interested. I wanted to buy a franchise. And I started to work with the founder, and I started to really kind of just help her get this going and to really market and to do some things. And what was really interesting is they had this product, the only products that they would recommend. And it happened to be Juice Plus. So I spend tens of thousands of dollars to buy this fitness franchise. And guess what, you guys? I spend $50 to buy a Juice Plus franchise at the same time, because if the only product they recommend is Juice Plus, I want to walk the walk and have integrity. So I decide that we just need to go ahead and buy a product. We need to, be a product of the product as well. So we start eating Juice Plus. For 18 months, I'm like, yeah, I paid $50. I'm not even looking at that. I'm completely focused on building this franchise. And so initially in the franchise, I was still going to teach. I was fulfilled teaching. We start the franchise, it takes off, it does so well that my husband said, you have to choose. You cannot do both. I do not care what you choose. Choose what makes you happy, but you have to choose. This is too big. So I did end up leaving teaching. I took the franchise full time. I have my head down. I'm focused. I'm growing this business. We end up buying a second franchise because it's doing so well. And my kids are really young at this time. Like at home, like I have a 3-year-old at home, and I'm just doing this as I live life, So 18 months in, I get something in the mail, my Juice Plus, and that Children's Health Study survey. And I sit down at the kitchen counter and I go to fill this out. And you guys, we were a sick family. Okay, I was healthy as in I worked out, but I worked out to eat. I had no concept of nutrition. So I was more of a fitness background. We lived with a breathing machine on our kitchen counter. My son was diagnosed with RSV at 3 months old. He was raised on steroids, antibiotics, and breathing treatment. 18 months in, I get this Children's Health Study survey, and there's a question on it that you're all familiar with. Have you been to the doctor less frequently? And so I could not remember the last time we went. And it's in the middle of basketball season. I actually remember looking up, and there's no breathing machine on the kitchen counter. And so I pick up the phone and call my husband. I'm like, hey, when's the last time that we've been to the doctor for Ben? And he can't remember. So I called the doctor. It had been 12 months, you guys, a full year. Our doctor thought that we had found another provider. No, we just had not had a need to go. So I just started to get curious. I remember walking over, grabbing those bags, and I flip them over. I'm like, what is in this? And I say that to you because I was a mom that was feeding my kids Juice Plus every day and had no idea what it was. I understood the products kind of just through doing the research when we bought the franchise, but that was the extent of it. I really didn't get it. So you may be having conversations with people and it's just fruits and vegetables to you, but there are a lot of people who have told me, well, they're looking for a supplement. They're actually turned off that it's not a supplement because they don't have any education or concept around whole food supplementation, whole food nutrition. We're living in a culture of you need vitamins. So to some people, you just kind of have to remember that. So I start digging in, and I actually just am kind of like ignorance on fire at this point. I just start telling moms, y'all will not believe this. Ben has not been to the doctor in a year. And so they're wanting to know, what is this stuff? I'm like, yeah, it's the stuff called Juice Plus. Do you drink it? No, y'all, it's these gummies. It tastes like fruit snacks. It's awesome. So all my friends are kind of interested, and I pretty much accidentally almost got to BF. Okay, I'm in the middle of Target. At this point, it's I'm shopping for Christmas. I think I was trying to buy one of those little, things that sit on the shelf. And I get a phone call from Kathy Crockett. I don't know if you guys know her. She's my upline NMD, upline. And y'all, I thought Kathy was kind of pushy. I side buttoned her because I'm like, oh, she wants something with that Juice Plus stuff. I'm not interested because I am focused on growing my franchise. Okay. Kathy is really brilliant. She sends me a text message and says, hey, you're one order away from hitting this BF promotion and getting a $250 bonus. I noticed that you guys aren't eating Vineyard. Do you want to order it? I had no idea how much Vineyard cost. She said $250 bonus. I'm like, sure. So she says, call me back and leave your card information on my voicemail. I won't even answer the phone. Y'all, that was because I had told Kathy Crockett that I had negative time. When she wanted me to look at this business, I actually said to her, it's so rude. I said, hey, I think it's great what you're doing, but I have negative time. I'm growing my franchise. We like the product. We'll take it, whatever. Okay, Kathy, again, is brilliant. So she waits until, because I end up ordering Vineyard, I get this bonus, and she waits until that $250 check comes in the mail. Don't you love how that happens? If you have not gotten a bonus check in the mail, just wait. Checks did not come in our mailbox. We got bills. So she waits until that check, and there was no HLP at this time. This is about 4 years ago. Really probably about 3. So the check comes in the mail. She picks up the phone and she calls me and she says to me, could I have a 30-minute conversation? There was not even Boxer back then. That's how fast things are changing in our company. I'm saying this was 3 years ago and I was not on Boxer. So she says to me, Amber, you remind me a lot of myself when I 10 years ago or whatever. And she starts to explain the power of residual income. Kathy had a consulting company and she was doing all kinds of great things, but guess what? She was swapping time for money. And Kathy was looking at me growing this franchise and really investing, and it was great. I loved the work I was doing. I was fulfilled. It was stimulating to me as an entrepreneur, but I was swapping time for money. When I said I had negative time, I mean, it was kind of to that point. I pushed myself to a place of no margin. And she knew that I would understand this concept of residual income because I had a business background. So as she began to explain that she had been with Juice Plus for 12 years, was still earning income on customers that she had gotten, 12 years ago, that made sense to me. You guys, when you're a trainer and you have clients, if they don't show up, you don't get paid. Okay, so your whole income is based on your class size, how many people are you training, that kind of thing. There's not something, the product, you got to be there. And so that made sense to me. So I decided at that moment that I was going to really get serious and take a look at this business. And I ended up driving all the way to Lubbock, Texas, to a boot camp. And I got to meet John Blair. And that event changed everything for me. I caught a vision of what was possible in this company. And so if you have not had a conversation with someone, or if you're like, I don't even know what's possible, I just want to encourage you to really get with someone and to find out what's possible. So we have this, and I decided that I would shift my focus. So I want to explain kind of what happened in our life. I began to focus on Juice Plus because I know that what we focus on grows. Okay, so think about this in your life. If you are like, man, some days my life is just full of drama, well then to even talk about that is to focus on that. You don't have time to even talk about something that you're not supposed to be focused on. And you guys, the first thing that you've got to do to even know what you want to focus on is to know where you want to go. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I didn't have a dream. I didn't envision or have this, man, when I grow up, I want to sell fruits and vegetables in a capsule. That's not how it happened. But I did really, you guys, have a dream that I was like, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to be a public speaker. And it's always been something that's just deep inside of me. It's something I want to do. And so when I started to look at this business and I saw the vision that Jay Martin had to build a stable and lasting company so that other people could realize and live their dreams, I got it instantly. I'm like, how I'm going to write a book and be a public speaker? Because of Juice Plus. So it wasn't like Juice Plus was, oh, this is like my dream. It was like, this is how I'm going to live my dream. So one day I get on this call with David Beavers. And David actually wanted to be on a call with my husband. He wanted to know if he had any questions because my husband in the background did not want me to be a part of one of these things. He actually had our financial advisor research the Juice Plus company to try to talk me out of it. Guess whose wife is on my team today? Our financial advisor. Because you guys, he was like, are you serious? This company's been around for this long. It's debt-free. You can actually make money. I mean, it's just crazy. And he has to research a lot of other companies. So it's kind of cool. It kind of backfired on my husband. David gets on the phone, wants to know if Barry has questions, all this stuff, and we get to have this great conversation. And I actually said to David, well, I love Juice Plus and all, but Juice Plus really isn't my dream. It's how I'm going to live my dream. And I realized that was it. That's what this company is about. That's the very thing that Jay Martin envisioned when he created this, when he did this. And so there you go. That's how you just all of a sudden find yourself on the path that you're supposed to be on. And so along the way, all of a sudden, I get recruited by the college. I live in a college town. They recruit me. I was speaking at an event. They give me a phone call. Hey, we want you to come and to train our business students on how to be good communicators. And I'm like, this is awesome. I love this. I want to speak. This is great. But there was no room. So I start letting go of our franchises. I start selling off franchises. I'm like, maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. And I start creating some more space. And I remember every step of the way, it was just, I'm going to grow my Juice Plus business to this amount. I'll be honest with you. I was always very focused on, I want a certain paycheck. Okay. I love the titles. The titles are great. But at the end of the day, show me the money. And I really am not going to apologize for that, because that's what makes our world go round. That's what makes, our life work. And so I knew I got to make this much to let go of this. So that was my goal. Here we go. That was kind of my why. Why am I growing my paycheck to this? Because I know I can let go of this. I can get this off the plate. So I go and I work at this university, and it's very fulfilling. Again, I'm working with students, but guess what's not there? There's a cap. There's a cap on your income. I'm having to sit in an office where there's no productivity. I'm just like twiddling my thumbs, and I'm a mover and a goer and a doer, and I need to be up and to move around. This is not going to work for my personality. So guess what? Because of Juice Plus, I was just like, hey, can I help y'all find someone to take my spot? You know, who does that? We have options with this company. So I leave, and I'm a QNMD at about the time that I leave the university. And I remember just making a decision, I'm going for NMD. Like, I've gone to 3 conferences now. I've sat there. I've heard people give their speech. It's time. And you're going to have these times where it's all of a sudden like, can I do this? You know, you've got to have a why. You've got to have the goal. You guys know all of those things, but you've got to have focus. And so this is what I really want to kind of drill down. You're not going, there's distractions everywhere. We think that we need to like get rid of distractions. You really can't do that. Okay. That's kind of it's a wrong way to spend your time trying to get rid of. What you really want to do is just start to focus and to get so like, you know, horse blinders focused on what you want that you just start to not see the distractions. They're still there. They are still there. You just all of a sudden, it's like they're just blurry over here. And so what I would do is, one, I know I have a vision board. I know what I want. I have a clear picture in my brain of what I want, and I know when I want it. So there's a time attached. Whenever something happens in Juice Plus, we can look at our mission statement. Our mission statement is to inspire healthy living around the world. If anything that our company is wanting to do, the very first thing that we can do is say, does it inspire healthy living around the world? Whenever you have a vision and things start to kind of come in and to distract you, you can go back to that vision, back to, you know, where it is that you want to go, and you can say easily, is this in a line with where I'm wanting to go? Because here's the deal, guys, there's a lot of great things out there. There are things that people approach me about that I'm like, yeah, I want to do that. I want to be a part of that. And I get so excited in the moment. I have no space for that. That would only be taking me away from where I've really been called to serve. And for me right now, that is really with the relationships that this company has brought me. And so here's the deal. I came to terms with the reality that this was the path that God had placed me on. And if this is the path that He's placed you on, then why would you not set it on fire? Why would you not find that focus and make it happen? That's the reality, is that you're not on this call tonight by mistake. And I bet you that there may be people, if you have a team, that you wish were on this call. Along the way, Kathy Crockett would call me up and say, hey, I listened to this awesome recording and I thought of you. I remember one time it was like Kevin Sulzer, who has a CrossFit gym. I thought of you because, see, she connected the dots and she found a common thread. And so I would just take note of that. Take note of the things that your upline is doing that inspires you. Take note of the things that they're doing that motivate you. Those are the very things that you want to duplicate. It doesn't have to be that you duplicate them. You duplicate kind of, you know, what they're doing in your own way. But here's the thing, you guys, with focus. I remember as a senior sales coordinator talking to Lauren Slocum, getting the Las Vegas boot camp somehow where it would come on my TV in my house, you know, through like the webinar thing, and inviting my team over. Kathy Crockett was an upline MMD who lives all the way in Lubbock, really far away from us in West Texas. I didn't always feel like I had this support right there. So I became what I needed. I needed strong leadership. I became strong leadership. You want to build a strong business that's going to last, then grow yourself to have the capacity to sustain that. You cannot lead your team beyond where you are. Like, you know, if your skill set is here then guess what? You can pull them to that point. And then one of two things will happen. They'll quit growing or they'll grow beyond you. And that creates its own issues. So the thing that I realized was I needed to focus on me. I needed to be the best person that I could be. I have a coach. I have people that pour into me. I have safe places. I've got sideline buddies. You know, I have times that I actually turn the phone off and have to be creative with my own brain. So you focus on you. Then you actually just open your eyes to what's right in front of you. This is very cliche, bloom where you're planted. I really believe that provision has been provided. Okay, I really believe in provision. I believe that oftentimes we just need to open our eyes. And I want to kind of give you an explanation. How many times have you shared with a person that they're struggling in their health? You've shared Juice Plus, and they just aren't open to it. Guys, what if that's the very thing that could change their situation? Do you see what I'm saying? So I started to kind of connect that to my business. Amber, what if the very people that you need on this team, the very people who need you in this business are just right in front of you, but you're not open to it? And so that is one of the things that daily I want my eyes to be open and my ears to be open to those around me who have a need, who have a want, and who have a desire. Figure out what it is that you want and be clear, like crystal clear, like you can taste it. You can smell it. You guys, I could envision myself standing on that stage. It's crazy. It was so in me of what that feeling was going to be, and it was everything and more. Life is short. You get one life. You get one shot. I mean, this is your life, and you're living it. And that's my message really tonight. What you focus on grows. You need focus in this business because this is your life. We see so many people who check out. We see so many people who are just like, you know, on social media, or they're on TV, you know, in the TV, or they're doing whatever because they want to escape their life. It does not have to be that way. And I do want to say this, and I hope this is okay. I really hope this is okay, Sandy, because one of the things that happens to me a lot, I'm going to share just two minutes, okay? This is really personal. I don't even know you guys. That probably makes it easier to share. Sometimes people will look at me and they'll think, well, yeah, it's easy for you. You know, yeah, like, of course, you know, you're really good at public speaking. You're a trainer. You're all these things. And I'll never forget one day sharing my personal story with a group of women. And you guys, I got married at a young age. And a year and a half into my marriage, my husband passed away. And I found out 1 week later that I was pregnant with our son, Ben. And so I raised this little boy as a single young mom for 5 years until I met my husband, Barry, who is incredible. And so there were times in my life that, I mean, it was just devastating. You know, where do you step next? But I remember that I always had hope. I always had hope that just things would be better. I mean, I don't even know how to say it any other way. I just always had hope. And so I always remember that I wanted to be the best at whatever it was that I was doing. Not because I needed to be better than anyone else, but just because I wanted to be my best self. That was important to me. If it was in my work, if it was in, you know, my schoolwork, in college, if it was in whatever, I was going to put my best foot forward because life was short. Because I only got one chance to make an impact. And I remember sharing this story with these women. And this mom came up to me at the end, and she actually said to me, I hated you. She said, I would see you in the grocery store, and you're always like so perfect, and your kids are really pretty too. And she said, and I just did not like you. But I'd shared my story that night, and she looked at me and she said, but my goodness, I love you. when we share our stories, something magical happens. We give other people permission to share theirs. People get to see a part of us that it's unexpected. They get to know us in a way that it just kind of blows their mind. And so as you go through this business, the reason I tell you that tonight is because when I was up there, at the Eltons and on stage, I'm like, this is what redemption looks like. This is what it looks like to say, no, that's not okay. This is not how the story ends. This is my life. And we can have an incredible future because we got love in our home, we got Juice Plus in our bodies, and we've got an incredible community through this company that we get to be a part of. So you guys, get focused. That's my message for you tonight. And Sandy, I don't know if I know it's like 8:30, I'm sorry. I don't know if you want me to answer questions or if anyone has questions. I'm totally open to whatever you guys normally do. But I'm just like loving y'all's group. So
Amber, thank you so much. Thank you for being so transparent.
Sure.
And raw and real. You are so right. That's what touches people. And what is it that facts tell and stories sell?
Right.
You really connect with people through that. I love that. And I loved what you focus on grows. This was awesome. I would like, if you're okay with that, for just a couple minutes, if someone wants to unmute themselves, if you have a question for Amber, that would be great. I did mute everyone because we just had some background noise. I'm going to take it off speaker. Okay.
I'm going to show you guys this. It's just like a tiny little whiteboard, and I keep it by my computer. And so one of the disciplines that I try to have is just every night before bed, I will make a list, and this is going to sound a little controlling, but I actually try to plan my day in like 30-minute increments so that because I tend to not stick to the schedule. Okay, I'm actually, that's a discipline I have to stay disciplined because I'm undisciplined. So to keep my focus on what it needs to be, like not Facebook, I need to be doing this. I have this 30-minute list. And I will use my whiteboard as like, this is something that has to get done today. And there's just something about checking it off and erasing it off the list that feels good to us. It's very rewarding and just kind of mentally. And so I want to encourage you to think about a system. And if a whiteboard is something that speaks to you, that was something that Allie Schneider shared that she did when she was getting to NMD, and I just picked up on it. Every training that you hear, when you hear people like how they did it or something, it's just, that's something you could implement. But it helps me a lot to just have that by my computer, and every day I know this has to get done today.
That's great. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Yeah, whatever the system is, that's
right.
That's
doesn't matter.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very, very important. Okay, anyone have a question for Amber? Val.
We did good then.
No. Very good.
Wow. Thank you.
Very inspiring.
Yes.
Thank you so much. That's been very inspiring.
Thank you.
I am going to take us off record now.